It is official. RayJ is a Baylor Bear, and the light in my life has returned.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Baylor. I am in a wood shop. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. I'm also Drake Toll from Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears. Our everydayers, thank you very much for always being here for us. And I don't know if you've seen that the podcast logo challenge thing on Twitter, but thanks for voting over there as well. RayJ Dennis has committed to Baylor University. He's officially a Baylor Bear. RayJ, welcome home. 24/7 ranks him a 4-star basketball recruit. He comes from Toledo, where he is the best player. Well, he was the best player in the MAC conference. He won MAC Player of the Year. If anybody out there is listening to this show, you know I'm a huge fan of the MAC. So now you get a kid from Toledo in RayJ Dennis, who also played at Boise State. He's got 4 years of college basketball under his belt. It's his third school to play at, his second transfer of college, and he has used those. This is a kid that, look, I don't want to say under-recruited, right? He's got a ton of big offers, especially now, but from jump at Boise State was really, really good. Could have played Power 6 basketball. Instead went over to Boise. He was a Bronco for 2 years, then went to Toledo, and it's like, okay. He has become the prime example of why the transfer portal can work so well for players and for institutions like Baylor. The Bears lost LJ Cryer. They lost Dale Bonner, and it's been a tumultuous offseason. This has been, you heard the conversation a couple of weeks ago. Is Scott Drew Deion Sanders? Because the amount of guys that are transferring out, the amount of guys transferring in, and here's where it can pay off for you. RayJ at Toledo last season averaged 19.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists. He was 14th in the country in assists per game. He shot at a clip of 48.5%, and he played 34 minutes a game. This is a guy who plays a majority of the ball game, shot 37% from three, and that's one thing that I would even, if I'm going to talk to anybody about what makes this guy so good, it's progression. Shot 37% from three this past season after shooting 32% the year prior, 29% the year before that. In his freshman season at Boise State, he shot just 26% from three. Going from 26% to 37% over the course of your college career is impeccable. Assist numbers. He had 3 assists per game. His first year at Boise, he had 2. Then he had 3. First year at Toledo, he had 4. And this past season, he had 6 assists per game, averaged 1.5 steals, had 2 turnovers per game. His assist to turnover ratio at 3-to-1 is great. And again, those 19.5 points per game after averaging year 1 at Toledo, his third year of college basketball, 13 points per game. That goes up by 7 points. It's all about progression. The guy has just gotten better every year, and he's an addition to a roster that needs it, because it's not depth at this point. The depth's not an issue. Baylor's got a good 10-ish players that can hoop. Depth's not an issue, but finding out who your star piece is, that's what's still up in the air here. I know there's somebody texting me. I was like, oh, look, Baylor got an all-star recruit. What terrible thing do you have to say about it now? I'm actually really excited with this pickup. And he can be a difference maker, a game changer. Again, MAC Player of the Year, 4-star out of the portal, one of the best guys still available according to The Athletic into 24/7. But the question is, where does he fit? And moreover, where does everybody fit? There's so many new guys on this team next year, so many players that we haven't seen in Baylor jerseys, that I don't exactly know what all this is going to look like. Listen to this. These are the guys that I think could contribute next season, and it's a pretty long list. This is also including Jalen Bridges. We're going to say that Jalen Bridges is coming back. At the time of recording, he has said he's not going to the NBA, but he might go play pro ball in Australia. And I think, from things that I've heard around people in his camp, he's ready. He's ready to be pro and make money playing basketball. He doesn't want to be the grandfather. We know that Adam Flagler is going to the NBA. He's done. He's not coming back for college. He will retire from Baylor as a legend, one of the greatest to do it. LJ Cryer has left. Dale Bonner is gone. Jake Youngkin is not with us anymore. Dang, that one hurts. Jordan Turner, not on the team. So these are the guys I think could contribute next season. RayJ Dennis, top of my list. I like this kid. I think he's going to be really good. Interested to see where he fits, what his role is. I think he starts. I'll get to my starting five later. Here are my contributors. Get there already. RayJ Dennis, Langston Love, Jaden Nunn, Eves Missy, again reclassified, Jacoby Walter, Jonathan Chachua, Josh Ojenwuna, Caleb Lohner, Miro Little, Jalen Bridges, D'Antoine Grimes. We were at a point a couple of months ago where we were talking about how good D'Antoine Grimes is and how he could be the piece that elevates Baylor next season. Will he get a shot now? That's part of why I'm posing this question of where does RayJ Dennis fit into this? Because now what happens to D'Antoine Grimes? Guy, redshirted last year, making his way through this program, trying to do it the right way. Is this guy going to transfer in and start over? If he does, that's fine. I get that. That's kind of just what's part of it. This is the portal. You go find a guy who's better. You want to win. Person over players there, but also there's a commitment to excellence and a commitment to winning. So now, where does D'Antoine Grimes fit into this? Where does Langston Love fit into all of this? The guy who has served Baylor so well for the last couple of years. What does the role look like for Eves Missy when he comes in? The kid reclassified, and he's got Josh Ojenwuna there. He's got Jonathan Chachua there. Those two guys, by all intents and purposes, for me, should play over Eves Missy because they've got the college experience. Maybe Eves comes in day one and is the dominant force. Maybe he's better than those two, and then he gets those big minutes. That's the big thing with this. It is a hodgepodge. This is unlike anything I can really remember in the Scott Drew era for Baylor. You had your James Akinjo. He was your 1 year plug and play guy. Let's get somebody out of the transfer portal. Jalen Bridges for a year, maybe a couple, where he comes in the transfer portal. That's a different formula, them playing with Keontae George, a first rounder. And before that, you had Jeremy Sohan, who is a lottery pick, and Kendall Brown, who got drafted to the NBA. The formula that last 2 years has been vaguely similar, right? Bring in an experienced transfer and have a one and done or two and underachieve, losing the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. That's Baylor's followed up a national championship by losing in the first weekend of 2 consecutive NCAA tournaments. That is underachieving. Sorry, it is. So the formula is different. In the national championship year, it was bring in transfers and have them wait their turn, get better and better, learning under the seniors, learning under guys like Freddie Gillespie, who have really cut their teeth in college basketball, and they win a national championship. COVID had a big deal with that because how many of those guys come back if COVID doesn't hit? We don't know. Now, that formula is kind of out the window. You tried your one and done thing. You're still kind of going around with that with Jacoby Walter. Not bad. I know I've been critical of it, but it's not bad to have great recruits, And now the transfer portal has become less of we'll find point guard James Akinjo. We'll find a small forward. We'll bring in Jalen Bridges. Now it is okay. We're going to make our bet on the transfer portal. This team's going to be driven by the transfer portal. Listen, RayJ Dennis, Jaden Nunn, those two guys coming in out of the transfer portal this season. Transfer portal, I guess, and recruiting, like the new faces that are on this roster next year. You've got Miro Little. Where does he fit in? I've already talked about Jacoby Walter. I think he's got to be a lock to be a starter next season. The 5-star, number 2 shooting guard, number 1 shooting guard in America, whatever he was. And then Eves Missy, who's reclassified. Does he even touch the floor? All these questions that I have. Probably won't get an answer to for a while. I do have an answer to this. Baylor's starting 5 next year. I do. I've mapped out who I think the starting 5 should be with Jalen Bridges coming back. I'm holding out hope for Jalen Bridges to come back. But first, I got to tell you about FanDuel. Oh, boy. I have made some money on the Miami Heat at FanDuel.com because of a no-sweat first bet. See what new customers can do. They can get up to $2,500. Remember what I told you? I told you it was $1,000. I told you if you put $1,000 on the Miami Heat to win a basketball game, that you can get $1,000 back if it doesn't hit. Up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. Well, it's changed. Now it is $2,500, $2,500 in bonus bets if your first bet of $2,500 doesn't win. So go in there and do it. Go and do it. I have seen, you know what you can do? let's say you don't hit, right? You get $2,500 in free play back, bonus bets back. Just do a bunch of $10 to win $5,000 parlays. They're going to hit at some point, and you've got a gajillion of them out of $2,500 worth of them to play. Like it's investing. You're just investing here. I'm not addicted to gambling. It's just investing. There's promotions every day at FanDuel. It's a safe, secure app. You get paid instantly. It is America's #1 sports book. Don't miss NBA playoff action there. Go to FanDuel.com/locked on to get your no sweat first bet up to $2,500 at FanDuel.com/locked on. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. I like you, Baylor basketball. And Scott Drew, I think you can coach. So let's see it. Who are the starting five? RayJ Dennis has got to be in there. Told you 20 points per game last season. He was the guy at Toledo, the guy in the MAC conference, the best player in their entire league. RayJ Dennis, you have earned a starting spot for the Baylor Bears after your commitment to come to play in Waco yesterday. Langston Love, former top 40 recruit. He was going to be really, really good on that team with Jeremy Sohan and Kendall Brown. It's weird to think Langston Love's the same age, came in with Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sohan, and was supposed to be a lot better than Jeremy Sohan, who is now a starter in the NBA. He starts sometimes for the San Antonio Spurs, who will be soon the best team in basketball. So you've got a 3-year guy now in Langston Love who needs to be in the starting lineup. That's how you win your national championship, by bringing guys up through the ranks, and they learn for a couple of years, and then they get their wings and they play. That's Langston Love next season. He's got to be a starter. He should be a team captain. He's the guy that you rally around. He has been in this program as long as almost anybody else. Jonathan Chama being the longest tenured guy on the team now, with LJ Cryer and Adam Flagler leaving. So Langston Love has to be one of your leaders, has to be a team captain, and needs to be in your starting lineup. Then, also in the starting lineup, Jacoby Walter. Dude, 5-star athlete. He's the #1 shooting guard in America. He can come in, play the shooting guard spot. It could be, so RayJ, Langston, Jacoby, this could be a guard-heavy team. It should be. National championship team is a guard-heavy team. Those 3 guys are your starting guards to begin the year. Again, you've got enough depth. That if Langston Love is just not doing it for you, Miro Little is right there. D'Antoine Grimes is right there. If RayJ Dennis doesn't pan out quite like you wanted, Jaden Nunn from VCU is right there. If Langston and RayJ both, or if Jacoby doesn't pan out, if any of these guys don't give you what you need, the depth is there. D'Antoine Grimes. You can go with really any number. There's a ton of different options at the guard spots. Where it gets a little hairy is in that Jalen Bridges realm. If Jalen Bridges decides to go pro in Australia or wherever, well, then who's Jalen Bridges? What do you do with that? You don't have like your kind of Mark Vidal tough glue guy. When Jalen Bridges was on last season, Baylor won basketball games. He was the catalyst to a lot of these wins. If he's gone, I don't know who plays that spot. In my world, he's coming back and he's in the starting 5. He has to be. He's kind of the one lock. And then everyday Jonathan Chama starts at your 5. Gritty, tough, lost a step, obviously, after his gruesome, horrific injury. So what is he going to be able to bring to you for 30, 35 minutes a game? I don't know. And that makes me think there's a world in which Josh Ojenwuna does start, kind of the Flo Thamba, where Thamba started, but it was obvious to God and everybody else that existed that Everyday John was better than Flo Thamba, but for some reason Flo still started. That doesn't just really make a lot of sense. If you really break it down here, let's start the worst guy. The worst guy. He was the worst starter on the team. One of the worst starters in the Big 12 last year. Sorry, just was. Look at the stats. So maybe you go with Josh Ojenwuna and bring in please don't bring in Flo Thamba. Bring in Jonathan Chama off the bench. That's possible. If Jalen Bridges is gone, do you go with 4 guards and Jonathan Chama? Do you add in Jaden Nunn to this mix, who's got a lot of great NBA prospects? Do you add in a young guy like Miro Little, come in and run the point? and then allow RayJ Dennis to cook at shooting guard and Jacoby Walter to cook at shooting guard and Langston Love to cook at shooting guard. What if you have 3 shooting guards on the floor at one point in time? That very well could be a situation for Baylor men's basketball next year. There's also D'Antoine Grimes. Throw him in that mix as well. There's the Caleb Lohner conversation. I guess Caleb Lohner could be Jalen Bridges. Nice guy. Good dude. Kind of a golden retriever. Wherever the ball goes, boom, he's right there. He's near it. He's got a nose for the basketball. Tries really hard. Nice guy. Doesn't always work out from a basketball standpoint for Caleb. I was having a conversation off the air with a BYU guy who covers BYU. He said when Lohner left BYU, there were a ton of fans like, oh, the BYU system held him down. He could have been so good here, but the coaching staff wouldn't let him loose. He's going to kill it at Baylor. He's going to be so good at Baylor. He'd never met his full potential at BYU, and he will at Baylor. Oh, the Bears are getting a good one in Caleb Lohner. Again, nice guy. Great personality. He's good. He's a good one. Sometimes the basketball stuff. Reminiscent of myself. When I got out on the intramural floor, I fought hard. I'm going to fight for the rebound. Probably not going to get it. I'm going to dive on the floor. Probably going to accidentally knock the ball out of bounds in the process. But I'm going to try hard. And you know what? I appreciate that, Caleb Lohner. If he's in the starting lineup for Baylor next year, unless he takes a huge jump this offseason, he could take a huge jump this offseason, and that would be big. But I don't foresee him being in the starting lineup, even if Jalen Bridges leaves. I can only imagine. I was at a Turnpike Troubadours concert when he committed. I remember the day, and I'm sure Scott felt the same. I felt like, okay, here's a guy that in a year's time could be really, we're going to watch him progress throughout the season for Baylor, and then he's going to be a star. He's going to be a starter who is just the work hard glue guy, kind of a Mark Vital. I don't know if we saw that progression this last season. He did get benched a good amount of the time. He did. He had a really good game against UC Santa Barbara. Give him that. What his career high against UC Santa Barbara was solid. So this adds to the conversation, actually, of what is this team? There are so many different names that I'm struggling to put who goes where. Who is a feasible starting 5 for this team that has consistency and builds throughout the year? I legitimately think it's my preference. I don't like it this way, but I legitimately think that Scott's going to have to experiment with his starting 5 and move different pieces around. When you're playing Northwestern State, roll somebody else out there. Just see what they got. There will be the offseason is going to be huge for these guys. Obviously, that goes without being said. But it's going to be the first 5 or 6 games where if you want to play, there are 10, 11 guys who could make a case to play for this team. Only 7 or 8 are going to get valuable minutes. Meaning, of these names, I'll go through it again, and here's what I want you to think about. Of these names, you have to select 3 guys who go on the cutting room floor, who don't get playing time, who just aren't regularly out there. Of these names, 3 of them will be in that category, and I just don't know how to group them. RayJ Dennis, Langston Love, Jaden Nunn, Eves Missy, Jacoby Walter, Jonathan Chamo-Chachua, Josh Ojenwuna, Caleb Lohner, Miro Little, Jalen Bridges, D'Antoine Grimes. All of those names, we have talked about how these guys could be the catalyst. These guys could be really good for Baylor men's basketball and help them win next season. Maybe this is the formula. Maybe the new guy thing. Maybe everybody rallies around each other by the end of the year and Baylor's really good. But then I read you the 11 names, and I read you the guys who could be the catalysts, and then now you got to pick 3 or 4 of those guys who just aren't really going to play. It's tough to do. I don't know how Scott's going to do it. I do hope that Scott has maybe he does. I haven't really considered this, thought about it much. The Dave Aranda, or Aranda's like, look, if you're not helping us win, then you're just not going to play. Like Gary Bohannon, I know you've given a lot to Baylor University. Sorry. We're going to let the younger guy with more potential start. It hasn't worked out yet, but Like, if you're Scott, you got to do that. You got to go in and be like, look, Langston, I'm sorry, man. I know that you put in a lot of good years, but winning, we've got to kind of win here. We've been bounced the first weekend of the tournament for 2 straight years. So sorry. Or, hey, look, Jaden, I know you transferred in from VCU. I know you got a lot of NBA prospects, but I don't know. It's not really clicking right now. It's not really fitting. We've only got 7 or 8 guys that can play. Somebody's got to sit the bench. Somebody on this team has to sit the bench. I think it'd be fun to watch practice, though. Now, after a month ago, they didn't have enough guys to hold a 5-on-5. They do have enough to hold a 5-on-5 now, and I like that would be a scrappy, good 5-on-5 to watch. I would enjoy that very much. Seeing Jonathan Chamo-Chachua banging in the post with Eves Missy. Seeing RayJ Dennis. RayJ, man, knocking stuff down from downtown. I'd like to watch it. I'm impressed, Scott. You've always had a fan in me, but you've done it again. Never should have doubted you. You've done it again. You built a complete roster for the Baylor Bears in 2023 and a new arena to boot. All new team, all new arena. Same coaching staff this time, though. Thank you. Jerome, if you want to come back, the door's open. I can give you a place to stay. Thanks for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. You have no idea what that means to me, especially as I venture to Alaska. This is my final show before I'll be in Alaska. And so we're going to see. I took a gig with Sports Illustrated here recently. Again, I'm back with Sports Illustrated to do NFL. Kids moving up in the world, huh? You graduate college and they're like, oh, you got to do pro sports now. All right. I'm having fun. I like it. This has been and always will be. I'm going to host this till I die. I hope you like it. Locked On. Thank you again for making it your first listen every single day. Go vote for us in that pod thing. I don't really know what it is. I don't know. We shouldn't be winning, but we are. Baylor.